guys, how's it going? It's Beer again. Hope everyone is well. Yeah, we're pretty much at Christmas now, which is pretty exciting, you know. Family time and presents and mulled wine and big massive roast dinners, and then your granddad falls asleep on the couch. Standard, but it's great fun, so I hope everyone's going to have a good Christmas. Today I've got some very, very cool gear to show you that I have beside me and behind me by the wonderful people of Hayden. Some of you may or may not know who Hayden are, but they make really, really cool amplifiers. Used by various different artists. One of the ones that you might know the most is Sam and Neil from Biffy Clyro plays for Hayden, so that's very cool. And this series that I'm showing you today is the Mofo series. There's three in the range, and we've got the Little Mofo, the Mini Mofo, and the Mofo 30. All of them are all valve, and they go up from 2 watts to 15 watts, which is switchable down to 2 watts again, and then right the way up to 30 watts, switchable down to 2 watts again. So it's very cool. There's a lot of different range, and obviously the price varies depending on what you go for. But at the minute we're actually just looking at the Little Mofo. This is the 2 watt all valve version, and I've got this rigged up to a Panama's, what I like to call the Pitbull cab, and this is basically just got a vintage 30 in it, 12-inch cone, and it's just a lovely 1x12. So we've got it running through that. So yeah, the layout is pretty straightforward. What we've got here is we've got gain, bass, middle, treble, and a master output. We've also got another control on the far right, which, if you can see, we've got an aux in, so you can use this to put your tunes through, or play along to an MP3 or backing track. And then you've got a dedicated mix channel here on the far right. These retail for £249 that you can get available from andertons.co.uk, so go and check them out if you like the sound of this particular amplifier. What's really cool about it is, depending on the guitar that you've got, in my situation I'm using my Chapman ML1 Rabea signature model guitar, Relic, which has got a bare knuckle Warpig in and a C Mod 159. Now, the reason I chose this guitar is because it's got a coil tap, so it's cool to show you a few different tones with it. As I said, single channel amplifier. So if I want the heavy tones, then I can just switch over to the bridge, full whack, and give it some. And these amps are very, very cool for that sort of fat rhythm sound. So really, really enjoy the tone that they give out. It's almost verging on that kind of stonery, kind of fuzzy, sludgy tone, but it's got some definition to it as well, so it actually sounds pretty good when you want to do a bit more intricate riffing. So I'm going to take you through the tones now. We've got bridge pickup here, bare knuckle Warpig, full whack. This is what it sounds like. So yeah, that's generally the sound of the amplifier, with bridge pickup just turned all the way up. So if I show you the neck pickup, same sort of sound. So the amp cleans up beautifully. If I'm on my neck pickup and I play full blast, so as you can hear, it cleans up really well, but also it lends itself to the sort of funk rocky kind of stuff that I really like, so I'll show you that kind of style now. All I'm going to do is I'm going to coil split my guitar, stay on the neck pickup, keep the settings exactly the same, and you'll be able to hear what it sounds like. Love that, it's great. Really, really nice sound, and I could play that for hours, so I really quite enjoy that. So anyway, that's the Little Mofo. 2 watts of valve goodness, loads of dynamic control just from the controls on the amplifier and even from your guitar. Great piece of kit for home, home recording, just practice whatever you want, or even, practice with your band. Okay, so now we're moving on to the Mini Mofo. This is the 15 watt version of the Mofo series, and it's basically just a it's like the Little Mofo on steroids basically. So what we've got is, again, single channel amp. You've got your gain, bass, middle, treble, and a master output. There's no aux in on this model, but what's really cool is a different feature on this model, which is you've got the stage studio switch, which basically takes you from the 15 watt all valve station right down to studio, which is 2 watts. There's a nice amount of control over, the power of the amplifier, which I think is really cool, because again, if you're in the studio, you don't want it to be really loud, but you want to hear it saturated. So by switching it over to studio, you can still drive it and get that valve-driven tone, but at lower volume, so that's really useful. For me, this series, the Little Mofo, the Mini Mofo, and the Mofo 30, they're all voiced very similarly, and they lend themselves to me to that kind of nice, fat rhythm rock or alt rock style. Again, you can change that and move across to the kind of more funky, John Mayer-y kind of stuff, or, really, they can handle pretty much most styles, which is what I like. Again, this one will clear up if I roll the volume down, so. So as you can hear, it cleaned up really well again, thanks to the sort of all valve construction of the amplifier. So in the Mini Mofo, this again is 15 watts, switchable down to 2. At the minute it's on the 15 watt mode, so you can hear it cranked. The preamp valve in this amplifier is an ECC83, and the power amp valves in this amplifier are 2 EL84s. So it's got that nice sort of Britishy tone to it, but again it's voiced in a way that you can it bridges the gap between British and sort of American tone. British being the kind of Marshall-y sound, and then American being more towards your Mesa kind of sound. So somewhere in the middle is where this amp sits, which I quite like, because I would use these amps in studio for rhythm tracks, definitely rhythm tracks, because they've got a very full saturated tone, and I would happily put these on one side, playing all the chordal stuff, really fat, and for the riffing stuff as well, to be fair. It's a very, very similar look to the Little Mofo. It's this whole sort of black steel kind of chassis going on, and the same with the grille with the nice Hayden logo on the front. And we still have that kind of green VU, cat's eye kind of VU meter thing going on the inside when you play. And it's nice to be able to see all the valves and everything lit up inside them. So thumbs up on you know, looks as well for me, as far as I'm concerned. The Mini Mofo retails for $349, available again from andertons.co.uk if you want to just go on there and check them out. And with the Mini Mofo, you get a carry bag, which is very cool. So you can cart this around town. If you've got a gig, you can take it in its bag with its cables and everything like that. Being 15 watts all valve, you're not going to struggle at a gig situation if you plug it through a decent cable like we've got here. So yeah, that's the Mini Mofo. Right, so now we're on to the Mofo 30. As you can see, I've hooked it up to another Panama Guitars cab. This one's got Veteran 30s in it. It sounds killer. It's the biggest one that there is in the range. This retails for $499. It's a 30 watt all valve amplifier with 4 EL84s, and it also has 4 gain stages. What's really cool about this particular amplifier, and to be fair, all of them have slightly different features. So obviously with the Little Mofo you have the aux in and the mix control, and then on the Mini Mofo you have the stage studio switch. And now moving on to the top of the range out of the Mofo series, we've got loads of cool features. So firstly, you have the 2 watt to 30 watt switch. So like I said, you can be playing full pelt 30 watts or switch down to 2, still get that kind of overdriven tone. And we also have 2 different inputs on the front. So you've got the UK input and the US input. Remember how I was saying that the way these amps are voiced is it's somewhere between UK and US. Well, now on the Mofo 30 you have a choice, so that's really cool. And we also have a foot switch, which is the FS1. Basically that just plugs into the back of the amp with the jack, but what it allows you to do is dial in the Mofo setting, which is great because again the layout's very simple. It's a single channel with gain, bass, middle, treble and master, and we also have an added presence control here. But the Mofo control is just more gain. So the foot switch allows you to dial in that gain, stomp on it for lead solos or whatever you want to do. Also has an effects loop built into it, which is great. So you can chuck your delays, your reverbs, your full pedal board through the whole thing. So this is a brilliant piece of kit. It comes with a carry bag as well. So you can cart it around town. A little bit heavy, but it's fine because you've got a strap and a full shoulder length strap. So that's really cool. It's a nice warm sounding amplifier. We're in the UK side at the minute, so I'm going to swap it over to the US afterwards, but we've got a nice kind of barky sort of pushed gain sound. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what the FS switch does now. It's very, very cool. So you're about to hear it. So when you throw it out of the gain stage, it starts to rip and it sounds very, very good. I mean, again, you can just have that down on the floor, and for the most part you can, you could have the gain on the main channel quite high. So if I was to take off the, if I was to take the Mofo completely out and push the gain up on the main channel. So it's nice to have the option between the UK and the US. Obviously the UK tone being a lot more brittle, and then the US tone definitely being warmer, so it's nice to have that option there, and all the same controls apply throughout. So Again, I'll show you without the Mofo switch, and then I'm going to engage the Mofo switch. So definitely warmer, it's got a bit more punch to it. Again, using V30s, you're going to expect a bit more of a sort of sharper tone, but using the US side, it definitely meets it halfway and gives you a little bit more punch, a bit more warm. So all in all, it's a great sounding amplifier. So the range, generally speaking, you know, between the Mofo 30, the Mini Mofo and the Little Mofo, are all great sounding amplifiers. They all have their different features, you know, with the switching and the looping and the different controls, but the best part about it is that the amplifier itself is just that single channel, all valve amplifier. So when it comes to, you know, rolling off the gain a bit, you definitely get that true valve glisten when you want to clean it up a bit. What's great is that they're all voiced, you know, slightly differently, but they're all in the same ballpark. So you do have that saturated sort of chunky tone, but with the option to, you know, clean it up and give it a bit more of a riffing sort of funky thing. So it's great. Like I said, the Little Mofo retails for $249, the Mini Mofo $349, and then the Mofo 30 at $499. You can all get these from many different retailers, but I would go to andertons.co.uk is where they're available. And you have a choice between using, you know, the Mofo cab that also comes with it. I don't have the Mofo cab with me here today, so I've been using the lovely Panama Guitars cabinets. Chuck them into anything you want, but the general gist here is that for a decent few quid, you can have a quality, giggable, great sounding all valve amplifier. You know, a lot of companies nowadays are doing valve preamp and then solid state driven stuff, which is cool, but there's something that you can't beat about an all valve amplifier. Whether it's the way the distortion works, whether it's the circuit, whether it's, you know, having the opportunity to, you know, clean up and get more dynamic variation in your playing or in the sound. It's each to their own, but I love all valve gear. I think it's really, really good, and I think it's got a warm sound that you can't recreate with an Axe FX or a, you know, or a Kemper or something like that. That is personal opinion. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the demo. If you want to try one out, you can go to your local music shop. They should be stocking them now. And yeah, thanks to Lee Alexander for sending some down. I really appreciate that, dude. Loving these amplifiers. I'm loving the setup that I've got going on with the Panama cabs. I think it's great, and really, really enjoying these particular amplifiers. So I definitely recommend them. Thumbs up from me. So yeah, until next time, take it easy.